Let us look at some examples of hormonal regulations in invertebrates. In annelids, it is believed that the brain hormones may inhibit the development of germ cells in case of nirate, or it may stimulate sexual characters, as in case of oligochaeta. In mollusca, such as octopus, some of the optic glands regulate the onset of sexual maturity in either sex, and those optic glands are believed to secrete gonad-regulating hormones under nervous control of brain. Insects possess a highly organized endocrine system. The regulatory mechanism of insects' endocrine system is well understood. In insects, the hormones play an important role in the process of growth, development, and metamorphosis. The endocrine glands of insects include prothoracic glands and corpora allata. These glands work intimately with the neural glands to coordinate the secretory activities almost like those of vertebrates. In insects, the hormones of the neurosecretory cell, or the brain hormone, will activate the prothoracic glands to produce ecdysons. The ecdysons will then initiate the tissue transformations in insect metamorphosis. The actual molting hormones comes from the prothoracic glands, and they require continued stimulus from the brain's hormones until the critical period is reached. During the larval installs, the actions of ecdysons is regulated by a juvenile hormone secreted by corpora allata. High concentrations of juvenile hormones makes the tissue more responsive to the prothoracic hormone. Research shows that if the juvenile hormones is completely withdrawn, adult transformation will occur. And this explains why in the last larva stage, the juvenile hormones completely stop. Conversely, if implantations of larval corpora into the young pupa, it prevents metamorphosis to the adult, and interestingly, another pupa mode is initiated. And now, let us focus on feedback mechanism in hormone. Have you ever heard of the feedback mechanism in hormone? What are these mechanisms, and what is the importance of this mechanism? After a hormone has been secreted, the resultant changes will become to feedback signal back to the glands. And these feedbacks include negative feedback and positive feedback. In negative feedback, the signal reduces the hormone secretion, whereas the positive feedback results in increase of hormone secretion. Homeostasis processes are the example of negative feedback, while labor contractions and milking are under the influence of positive feedback mechanism. Blood glucose regulations is a good example of negative feedback in hormonal regulation. Glucose is important for healthy functioning because it is required for the formations of ATP, the molecule of energy transfer in our bodies. Two important hormones for blood glucose regulations are insulin and glucagon. Insulin is secreted by beta cell, while alpha cell secrete glucagon. As the food we eat is broken down, our blood glucose rises due to the carbohydrate. So in order to avoid serious problems such as kidney and cardiovascular damage, blood glucose level have to be decreased. So how does our body regulate our blood glucose level to maintain homeostasis? The internal mechanism for blood glucose regulations is negative feedback. As you can see from the diagram, Depending on whether glucose levels are rising or falling, the body has a different responses. So when the glucose level increased, the beta cell secretes insulin which converts glucose to glycogen. So the extra glucose can be stored and the glucose level will go down to the normal level. When glucose level fall, the alpha cell in our pancreas will secrete glucagon, which converts the stored glycogen to glucose, increase the glucose level back to normal. A positive feedback mechanism is the exact opposite of negative feedback mechanism. With negative feedback, the output reduces the original effect of the stimulus. In a positive feedback system, the output enhances the original stimulus. A good example of positive feedback is childbirth. During labor, a hormone called oxytocin is released to stimulate the uterine contraction and prostaglandins secretions in placenta. Prostaglandins escalate uterine contraction, which stimulates the posterior pituitary glands to release more oxytocin, and the cycle goes on until the baby is born. The birth stops the release of oxytocin and ends the positive feedback mechanism. Another good example of positive feedback mechanism is blood clotting. Once the blood vessel is damaged, platelets start to cling to the injured site and release chemicals that attract more platelets. The platelets continue to pile up and release chemical until a clot is formed and seal the gap of the damaged tissue. Just remember that positive feedback mechanism enhance the original stimulus and negative feedback mechanism inhibit it. So before we end this topic, let's recap what we have discussed so far. In the beginning of this section, I have presented the overview of the endocrine system and the principle of endocrine functions. The mode of action of hormones and types of all the classes of hormone has also been discussed. We also have looked at the differences between lipid-based and protein-based hormones. The details of secondary messenger system has also been presented. And after that, we have also discussed on human endocrine system and types of hormones and each function of the hormone. The hormonal regulations in invertebrates and feedback mechanism in hormones have also been presented in the later part of this section. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this video and gained some insightful information on endocrine system. See you again in next topic.